I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to a Grand Oak time. Hello, everyone. Bront, CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and today we are going to be talking about Grand Oak Padraig, who, in my estimation, is possibly the best, if not one of the best, PvE champions in Raid Shadow Legends today. In the current meta, how everything is going, he's also useful in Arena. He is an absolute beast of a champion. And I got lucky to have gotten him when he was a guaranteed champion. I got him actually on both of my accounts, and he transformed my accounts more than I expected he would. And, I've been using him daily on both of my accounts, and I wanted to go over and share with you what I use him for, why he is such a beast, and going into all the different uses that he's got. So let's get into that. If you have other champions you would love me to get a chance to talk about, or if perhaps you're interested in some of the other champions I use daily, let me know down in the comments. I definitely appreciate that. And smash that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and you keep me here doing these videos. So let's go take a look at Grand Oak Padraig. All right, so we got Grand Oak Padraig here. He is pretty amazing looking. He's got this wonderful green beard. He's got all of these things growing on him. He looks old. He definitely looks a bit like some of the wizards, like one of the wizards from Lord of the Rings, if you were familiar with those. He is a very, very cool looking champion, and definitely, I feel this old. What does he do that is so powerful? Well, really, he's got utility on every single bit of his kit, and that's why he plays everywhere. So, first of all, he's got a 25% speed aura in dungeons. Now, it's not the best dungeon aura, but it's great. And dungeon auras, very useful, especially for a PvE champion. 25%, one of the better ones you're going to find. You can certainly get a few better, although I don't know if you can get much better in dungeons specifically. So he's definitely useful as a speed lead, and in fact, at least one of my teams, that's almost entirely his use. But we'll take a look and see at that later, but that is a great, great aura. I cannot tell you how powerful that is. His A1, very, very powerful as well. Attacks one enemy, has a 25% chance, bookable to 50, of randomly decreasing the cooldown of an active skill by 2 turns on a random ally. Now, you certainly cannot tune a team with this if you need skills to happen at a very specific time. But, if you're not running Clan Boss, this is fine. If you are running Clan Boss, this could be helpful if you're not running a tuned team as well. But, Clan Boss is probably not his biggest specialty here. But for regular dungeons, this is amazing. This could also be useful in Arena as well to help reset champions as well. It's very similar to Ancora's A1. In fact, it's nearly identical. And, he can do okay damage on this. He's not a damage dealer, although you can certainly build him to do a little bit of damage as well. And while this is his only direct attack, he does have other skills that will allow him to hit with this a little more often, so we'll go into that. His A2, Weird Spores, is a 4-turn cooldown when booked. It's normally 6 turns. Ally attack, it's everybody attacks with their default skill. He also fully restores all destroyed max HP, which is very powerful in a lot of areas, and places a 15% continuous heal on allies for 2 turns. So he brings a good chunk of healing, he repairs max HP, and he does a all ally attack. This is very powerful. While it's not going to be quite as damaging as like a Lady Mikage ally attack, where she brings the increased crit damage and the increased attack, or a Fat Man, for example, he does attack himself, and since his A1 can reset skills, he can actually reset skills with his A1 in an ally attack, which is kind of nice. And don't discount healing on a champion that's giving you support and damage as well. This healing is actually pretty solid, and the getting back max HP can be very helpful if you wanted to use him against the Sand Devil, for example, or if you wanted to use him against Fire Knight. And it's also very useful in Hydra for getting that max HP back as well, because that max HP that wears down in Hydra really can shorten your runs if you're struggling to stay alive. So that can bring that back, and it just does it all. It's not even a portion of a heal. There's no chance of it happening. It just happens. Finally, his A3, Inspiring Rhythm, is a 5-turn cooldown, bookable to 3, where he fills turn meters of all allies by 20% and then removes all debuffs from all allies and places an increased speed on all allies for 2 turns. So it's a cleanse with increased speed and a turn meter fill on a 3-turn cooldown. Very strong, usable, all over the place. The cleanse can be very helpful. Increased speed is always good. Turn meter fill is always good. As I said, he plays well in Arena. He plays well in Hydra. He plays well in Dungeons. Very good skill. This is the type of skill that keeps you going. And of course, with the extra turn meter, and of course he gets this turn meter himself, he's shortening cooldowns by taking extra turns. Not specifically an extra turn, but he's getting the 20% turn meter. Everyone's going a little bit faster. He gets the increased speed as well. It works great. And finally, his passive, which is very underrated. His passive is when he takes a turn, he puts a buff on each ally for 1 turn, depending on their type. So attack allies get increased attack. Defense allies get increased defense. Support allies get increased accuracy, which, to be fair, he's a support champion and does not need increased accuracy. But if you're going to pick a skill for a support champion to get, increased accuracy is one of the better ones you could pick. And finally, an HP champion gets a 30% shield based on that ally's max HP. So HP champions get a lot tankier out of all this as well. That's great. So this is underrated because this makes him one of the only increased defense champions to have a speed boost. You've got Siphi, you have Doomscreech, and now you have Grand Oak. So for Arena, if you have a defense-based champion and you need a speed booster, Grand Oak Padraig is one of the 3 options for you. And to be fair, he's definitely a lot more accessible than Siphi. Doomscreech is a rare, so Doomscreech is certainly a little more accessible. But this kit is so much better than Doomscreech. You know, it's really kind of hard to argue why you would want to use Doomscreech over a Grand Oak Padraig. Overall, this makes his kit very strong. On top of all this stuff here, you can see 2 books here, 2 books here, 4 books here. He only needs 8 books. You could possibly get away with 4, although I think it is very valuable to book this ability all the way up as well. So he's, even on a value proposition, he's a great legendary to get because you only need 8 books to max him out. And every book, other than these 2 little damage books right here, brings some value to his kit. As far as blessings are concerned, I've got him in Phantom Touch because I'm running him in Fire Knight, so I wanted the extra hits on the A1. It's not necessarily his best option, but it's an option. Cruelty doesn't make a lot of sense on him if we're looking here in the blessings. Cruelty, he's only going to be doing single hits, and the ally attack is not going to help with his cruelty, so he's not going to be dropping the defense down very well. Something like Miracle Heal doesn't really make a lot of sense for him. Intimidating Presence, maybe, because that would actually help with his aura, so that's an option. Lightning Cage could be good because he does put out some buffs, so the ability to protect them could be good, and that could add some additional damage as well. Something like Life Harvest could be interesting if you're using them in Arena, because that is very helpful when people are getting revived. Not necessarily the best thing for him, but it's an option. Brimstone is not particularly great on him because he doesn't need accuracy in any of his skills. So unless you get a 6-star Brimstone on him, he's not really going to land Brimstone that often because he doesn't have the accuracy. And forcing him to build accuracy for Brimstone, I think, will take away from his kit just a little bit. Polymorph, if you're going to use him in Arena, is always an option, but it's going to have similar problems to Brimstone. Although in Arena, that's less of an issue because you have a lot of low resistance champions in Arena anyway. Finally, there's not a lot here. Maybe Nourish would be interesting because he does throw the continuous heals out there and they can restore some additional max HP, but he already does the max HP. He already does some decent healing. I don't think you really need that. So I really think that sticking with Phantom Touch is great for him. Temporal Chains actually isn't a bad one either for Arena. Life Harvest is possible an option for Arena. Intimidating Presence or Lightning Cage. And I think Lightning Cage, Intimidating Presence, and Phantom Touch are probably your best 3 that will play anywhere in the game. As far as actual builds are concerned, I've got mine as fast as I possibly could in a mix of different gear. So he's got 3-piece Supersonic and 5-piece Protection. He is a very good champion in 9-piece Protection because he throws out a ton of buffs. So the 9-piece Protection bonus can give you some extra damage as well. And he protects all of his buffs as well, so that is very helpful. 6-piece Protection would be fine. Overall, I needed the extra speed for what I use him for in Fire Knight. So that's what I ended up with. I've also got this refresh ring right here. So the refresh ring gives him a chance to prevent cooldown on a skill. That works very well with his A1 to give him additional ally attacks occasionally. Certainly not the most reliable thing, but for a one-off piece, it made sense for me to grab, particularly because I would need to go with at least 2 pieces of something like Pinpoint or Feral to get any value out of them for the extra speed. So we've built them about as fast as possible. So I've got mine at 339. He will appear to be faster in other content, particularly things like Fire Knight, where I've got bonuses on the speed. I do not have any accuracy. I do not have a lot of high resistance on him. A lot of this is incidental. I've got some decent attack. He's mostly maxed out on crit rate with some crit damage, and that has mostly to do with the fact that I could, and I had this particularly good crit rate glove. Do I think he needs crit rate? No. And do I think he really needs the extra crit rate damage to actually smack? No, I don't necessarily think that adds a lot, but I was able to do it to attempt to speed up some of my runs. Honestly, you're probably better off just going with the fastest things possible, and if you happen to get enough crit rate to be able to max it out, that's fine. It also fit with this crit damage protection amulet I had, which was the only protection amulet I had, at least when I built him. I may have 1 or 2 more of them now. So overall, you're looking for speed. So you're looking for speed set might be good. Perception is viable. You could certainly go with some righteous gear, for example, for the additional speed. Anything that adds speed to him is great. I really think protection is probably the way to go because he throws so many buffs out there. Protecting those buffs can be very helpful in any content you're going to use them for. Finally, as far as masteries are concerned, I went down the defense and the offense tree. There's an argument for the support tree. He doesn't do a lot of healing, so I wouldn't necessarily go down this healing side right here on the support tree, but you could certainly argue for this extra max HP right here. Shield buff, not particularly exciting, so I'd probably go here, and the first time somebody's killed, he gets a little bit of healing. That's not too bad. Rapid response could be very helpful for him, so I think that's why this is a viable option. Obviously, Cycle of Magic could be interesting for him. Lore of Steel, especially if you're building him in a lot of these protection sets or speed sets. This adds up a little extra speed and other stats. Lasting Gifts could be helpful for him, especially because a lot of his buffs are only 1 turn, so this could make them 2-turn buffs in some cases. You could even argue maybe Spirit Haste might not be bad for him. He does not need anything on this side of the support tree for the most part because he doesn't need any accuracy. I, on the other hand, went with defense, so we got the increased defense here. We got the decreased damage on AoEs to keep him alive versus things like Hydra. We went with this because you have a chance to remove a random debuff occasionally. Reduces the damage he takes from the same champion. This is great in Hydra. It's 6% less damage effectively. And then we gave him the 50% chance of getting a turn meter increase when somebody's critical hit. This is very viable in Arena. You could certainly argue that deterrence may be good as well, because that could certainly help him counterattack occasionally in Hydra. Although if he's counterattacking when people are being feared in Hydra, he can get himself feared as well. So maybe that's not the best option. And then Retribution here just seemed like it made a lot of sense. I definitely went down the offense tree because War Master makes a lot of sense for him because he is hitting with his A1 fairly often because he's either A1 attacking with it or when he ally attacks, he still hits with that A1. So War Master makes some sense for him as well. So we went down with the crit rate, crit damage. I wanted to get Life Drinker because it'll keep him alive a little bit better. We got him with Single Out to do a little more damage. Moving damage based on the max HP. Increased damage inflicted for each dead ally in case people die. It doesn't hurt to do additional damage. Plus, given I went on the defense line, that didn't make a lot of sense. If I went the support tree, I would definitely go Cycle of Magic and Lore of Steel over getting Wrath of the Slain. He only has the A1 to do damage, so this made some sense because he eventually stacks up to 10% additional A1 damage. And again, as I mentioned, War Master makes a lot of sense. He's not a big damage dealer, so Helm Smasher doesn't make a lot of sense. Giant Slayer makes no sense on him because he's got a single hitter. So War Master really is the play here if you're going the offense tree. And if you're not going the offense tree, then if you're going to build a high resistance one, you could certainly go with Unshakable. You could certainly go with just the bonus HP here. I don't think there's a lot of stuff that makes sense on the 6th level other than offense and War Master. So with all of that, let's take him into some content, show you where I use this dude and how much of a difference he's made. All right, so we're going to start over here on Ice Golem, where you can see I've got Padraig in the lead for that extra speed aura. The goal of this team is to let Artak solo the boss, but that's where Padraig's aura is very helpful. So a 25% speed aura gives me 25, maybe 27 or 28 additional speed on Artak. against the boss, which means that he can do 2 or 3 attacks before the boss gets a turn. Very, very helpful when you're building a solo strat to get extra speed, and it's free stats. So we go here, you can see he's actually got some additional speed because I have some speed in the Ice Golem dungeon with the area bonuses. Otherwise, he's pretty standard. My Artac here is built high resistance and high accuracy with high speed. And again, an additional 25 to 28 speed gets me to 290-ish. That's huge for letting him solo. He is in regeneration and immortal gear. He has emergency heal, and he has a blood shield ring. So he can basically solo the Ice Golem boss. We've got Seer here for wave clear, and that's another thing Padraig does very well, is Padraig throws out buffs. So Seer gets additional buffs for her wave clear karma burn. We've got Lydia for the buffs and the debuffs, and we've got Kymar here for reset. You could certainly use a Renegade if you don't have a Kymar. Otherwise, this team somewhat accessible, other than obviously Padraig is you need to pull him. Lydia's a free champion, Seer's an epic, although a void. Artac was a free champion at one point in time. Basically, this is a pretty quick run. We'll get into Ice Golem and run this. Should take about a minute, minute and a half at worst. So, got our wave clear here. Nothing particularly exciting. We're going to save the burns on Artac. For the most part, I don't think I have Padraig programmed, other than I think I have his speed up saved to be what he does right here. There's the increased speed, because that gives Artac some additional speed as well. Here we go. We got the burns out already. Most of these guys should die. They did not get a chance to die yet, so they should be dead the next time the boss takes a turn, and then it should go pretty quickly. Yep, there is almost everybody. Looks like Lydia stayed up, and looks like Padraig is staying up a bit. He is kind of tanky, and that's fine. But overall, I've got most of his stuff turned off because I really want Artac to do Artac things. There we go. Now we're down to Artac solo, and he'll just kind of keep taking turns and burning down the boss and the minions, just chunking away at that health, keeping himself alive, see all that regeneration and healing he's doing. And, takes a minute. This is going to be a slower run, so it looks like this one's going to run maybe about a minute and a half. But it's reliable. It's about as 100% as you're going to get on the Ice Golem. And there we go. Minute 19. So let's go take a look at Fire Knight. Fire Knight's another team. I have actually shown this team off. Well, I don't think I've shown my Fire Knight team off. This is a little different than the one that I've done a video on beforehand, which I will link to up there. So if you want to see what I've done with my earlier Padraig videos, there's another optional team there. I've got a couple of them in that video. Go check that out. But let's go take a look at Fire Knight. All right, so this is my Fire Knight team. And this has got Mikage in it because Mikage is amazing. Padraig is amazing. These are the two best champions for Fire Knight if you can do it. If you can't, you've certainly got a Fat Man. Certainly Fat Man is who I was using before Lady Mikage. Padraig was my second ally attacker on my account. So that's why Padraig made such a huge difference for me on my account. But we've got Padraig here in the lead. I've got pretty much everything turned off on round 1, everything turned off on round 2, and we lead off with the ally attack on A3. We've got Mikage, who basically will change into her other form and prioritize stunning the enemy on round 1, same as round 2. Round 3, she will change back and do her Imperial Degree, which is the ally attack. That's her important. I have a slow Kymar here, and I realize 253 may not feel like it's slow, but this is my slowest Kymar on my account. He is specifically tuned to fit into this team to go last against everything else. This team only works because Padraig's aura gives me enough extra speed to be able to run Kymar at this speed, have it reset, and have enough time to actually take the turns to get the extra attacks. So we've got Newt here. This Newt is prioritizing his A1 on this. This Newt is prioritizing his Blessed Bash. Round 2, he's got his Blessed Bash turned off, and round 1, he's got it turned off. This Newt does not have it turned off because what I want to have happen, this is the faster Newt, this is the slower Newt. So the faster Newt hits this, knocks the turn meter down just a bit. The slower Newt hits with his Blessed Bash. Kymar resets, and then we have the two ally attackers knock down the turn meter again, and then this Newt Blessed bashes, and this Newt Blessed bashes, and the boss is dead. So that's how this team is supposed to work. Let's go run that and take a look. For the most part, the waves are a control metric, so we're just waiting for Mikage to control the waves. We've got the stun locked out there, so she should be able to keep them down and out. Kaimar is, in fact, you may occasionally see a little swirly clock over them. That's because Padraig is resetting skills. See, there we go. He just reset Kaimar, so Kaimar can get his sleep back again. Makes the waves super safe, especially if you cannot lock them out with a Mikage, or you don't have a Kaimar to lock them out for as well. The fact that you can get some of your more powerful abilities back because of Padraig's A1 can make him super good against the Fire Knight. So we go against this wave 2 here. We're, 40 seconds in. See if we can get to the boss in about a minute. That's a good time. And there we go. So we got everyone stunned, ready to go, and it's just a matter of getting Rio down. Perfect. All right, so we got the boss here. So Padraig takes his turn, gets everybody ally attack. We get the boss down to 11. Mikage goes. We'll get the boss down again. The boss should be down to 1 or possibly even all the way through at the end of this. So he's got 1 left. Then we have this newt hits, knocks down the turn meter quite a bit. This newt does his Blessed Bash. Kaimar does his reset, which also does a turn meter boost. And now we do the ally attack again. And Padraig is fast enough to knock this turn meter down. So this is a pretty endgame team. It requires some pretty nuts gear. You need champions to be 350 speed in some cases to actually pull this off. But this is why Padraig is so valuable, because he's super easy to make fast, and his aura allows you to be faster than you otherwise might expect. So you see 1 minute 46. My best is about 1.5 minutes. Done 40 turns on this boss. You know, it's not going to get you the award for doing it fast, but it's pretty nice for a speed run, and overall, 40 to 50 turns, I cannot complain at all. Let's take a look at where I might use him in Arena. All right, so this is my favorite team to use Padraig in Arena. This is my green and white team, and we've got Armand's here. Armand's fast with the speed lead, gives us a fairly fast target. He's got stone skin. I believe he also has some pinpoint gear on as well to protect himself from being sheeped. We've got Ancora here. She is a high resist build. We have Narcissus here. He is basically built for damage. I've got him a little slower than Ancora because I generally want Ancora to go first, particularly because if Ancora needs to revive him or restore an ability, that's helpful as well. Padraig is here to bring additional speed. He's a little bit faster than Armand's. He can help cut in occasionally. He can give you that extra speed increase, get everybody going faster. He also gives you some advantages of doing the ally attack is one of the ways you can hit around a UDK. So we'll show that in one of the fights here as well. So we're going to go here. We're going to tackle this team, see if we are fast enough to be able to handle it. Because you've got resets on both Padraig and Ancora, you've got some fun ability to possibly reset skills on this here. You've got some additional survivability. The other thing that's very nice about Padraig paired up with Narcissus as an HP attack champion, he is doing damage based off of his max HP. So one of the weaknesses that he has, and any max HP damage dealer other than Taurus Polarium, they can lose damage if they lose max HP, which is definitely a strategy. He can restore the max HP, which means that he has ways to make Narcissus hit and do damage again if Narcissus starts wearing down his max HP. So it makes him very, very valuable. So we're not going to do this on auto because I want to walk through what we're doing. So we'll see. I am faster. So I am going to speed everybody up here because then we want Armand's to lock everybody out. If I was worried about Armand's not necessarily getting a turn, I might have instead ally attacked somebody to make sure I got rid of them. So Ancora will do her shielding here. We will go and do the attack, and that should kill almost everybody. So now we just need to deal with Grazur. And I can actually just go into auto at this point in time because Grazur, definitely an annoying champion, but he is not going to outlast the rest of this team. So he does get his unkillable there, but that's fine. We just got to wait for that to go. We, in theory, could sheep him to get rid of stuff as well, and that's one of the things you could certainly do, but if you run this on auto, you don't really want to turn sheep on because Armand's sheep can get in the way of you winning sometimes. So, nice, easy fight there. Let's go find, this is a UDK team here. So we will go take a look at this fight. I suspect I'm going to be faster than this team as well. So we get started. And all right, so UDK's in Stone Skin, but I don't want UDK. I don't really care about UDK as much as I care about Brogni and I care about Mikage. So Mikage is really the worst problem in this stuff. So let's do an ally attack and see if we can actually take out Mikage. And even if we can't, we might get a chance to lock her out. Because Narcissus can lock people out, as can our Mons, which is why this team is a lot of fun. So I did lock out something on Mikage. Well, don't know if it's the right thing. We'll still do the extra stun lockout there. I'm going to sheep UDK because that will strip buffs and just let us do a little more damage. Narcissus will do his thing. Unfortunately, Monkey King is going to be reviving, but I believe we have enough tankiness and speed that even if the Monkey King comes back, we should be able to take care of him. So, see, we were actually fast enough, so I can poke at him a little bit. That's not going to care, but here we go. Narcissus we go. So that's the power of ally attack in arena. Ally attack lets you hit around those UDKs, which I know can be a problem for a lot of early game, mid game accounts. So AoE certainly can help with that as well. But the ally attack gives you a support champion that can nuke around somebody else, and that's very valuable. So that's where I use Padraig in arena. Most of the time I just let it run on auto, but I wanted to kind of go in manually and show you what I thought about and why I would do specific things in arena with him. But yeah, he's one of my regular teams I run. He's very valuable. Let's go take a look at him in Hydra. This is one of the hard teams I run on Hydra, and I've had a lot of fun with this. This was absolutely a blast to run. This is a double ally attack team. This is a team that overall is built to handle everything that Hydra throws at you, and you've got a lot of healing. You've got some revival. We've got all kinds of cool champions in here. So we're going to start with Uko. Uko is in Provoke gear, and in fact, I don't have this set up properly. He should lead off with that in the first place. He is the block debuffs champion in this. You're certainly lacking a little bit of additional block debuffs, but because he brings the revive, he is super useful. Plus, he can strip buffs, which can be very helpful as well. We have Venus in here. Venus is in Cursed gear, so she is bringing Hex to this team, which can add a lot of extra damage. We've got the decreased defense and weaken. She's got the HP burns here as well. Because she's going to have Cupidus, she's actually going to have this pure partner where she can remove all buffs from enemies and has a 50% chance of granting extra turns. The AI is actually good about only using this when there are buffs to remove, which makes this a very valuable skill because when she needs it, she'll use it. And she doesn't always get the extra turn, but when she does, it's great and reduces the cooldowns. Padraig is pretty much focusing on his ally attack, other than we are going to focus on initially getting this fills the turn meter by 1. You could certainly argue to do the other way around where you prioritize Inspiring Rhythm, especially in a team where you've got Lady Mikage as well, because this extra speed could keep everybody else running particularly fast. But I like this because this will fix the destroyed max HP, which will keep everyone alive, and gets the continuous healing, which is really about the only healing we have in this team as well. We've got Lady Mikage here. She turns off her metamorph. She focuses on her Imperial Decree. She also has the Silken Stare, which is great. So she's increasing everybody's buffs by 1 turn. And since Padraig is constantly putting out tons of buffs, she's increasing them by 1 turn. Very good as well. I've got Cupidus in 9-piece Slayer. So he is doing a ton of damage, constantly getting his turn meter increased. He's got a decent amount of crit damage. He's ignoring 30% defense. And I've got his single target thing turned off. He's going to have increased attack on him always anyway because of Padraig. And then he's getting a bunch of turn meter and doing additional damage with both of his AoEs, especially because his punishing partner gives him 25% more damage when Venus is around, and he's giving counterattacks as well. And then finally, we've got a Shamail. Shamail keeps the fears off. This Shamail is built to do some decent damage as well, and that's because Cupidus is really the big damage dealer in this team, although Venus can do some additional damage as well. So you want a second damage dealer just to help in case Cupidus gets eaten so you don't lose him. So that's where this team works. So, let's make sure we save that. So let's go make sure we run this team on hard, and I will be right back and show you the results. All right, just to remove myself here for a bit so you can see how well Uko did. We've got, decent amount of damage. Obviously, Cupidus is the damage dealer on here. Venus does a bit of damage as well. Shamail does a bunch of damage as well. But you can see all of that healing from Padraig, as well as just overall how well this team did. And Padraig, as well as Mikage, drive it. Padraig keeps everyone, for the most part, alive. Uko does some of the reviving occasionally. Cupidus is certainly healing himself on occasion if he's getting too low because he's got some of the life drinker. But, it's a fun team. And these ally attack teams can be very interesting. Now, there's certainly been some changes to make these teams less viable of late, and certainly Lady Mikage has got a few more combinations of champions that make her super powerful. But this just goes to show you how powerful Padraig is. If Padraig can stand tall in a Hydra team with a Lady Mikage, who's a mythical, and still be very valuable, if not possibly even a little more valuable. So again, I love this dude. I think he's an amazing champion. If you've got one, let me know where you use him. And if you don't have one, well, hopefully you get one soon because he will be helpful on your account. So until the next video, appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to check out, I did a video on Marius the horse. Go check that out. I'll have a link to that up there. And until the next video, I'm Bront CatHerder.